packed on a Saturday morning. This is why we were able to flip a district in Stratford that went by 25 points to Republicans in 2016 and went blue on Tuesday. So I'm Luke Cronin. I'm the mayor of the city of Hartford. I'm just going to tell you a little bit about myself and why I'm exploring this run for governor, and hope to leave some good amount of time for questions. First, I'm a dad. My wife Sarah and I have 3 little kids. They're 8, 6, and 4. We moved to Hartford from New Haven about a dozen years ago. I'm a veteran. Served in Afghanistan as a Navy intelligence officer, and I served for the first 4 years in the Obama administration at the Obama Treasury Department, right in the wake of the financial crisis, as part of the team that, among other things, helped to develop and pass what became known as the Dodd-Frank Wall Street Reform and Consumer Financial Protection Act, which, among other things, created the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau that, of course, Donald Trump is now trying to dismantle as he dismantles much of the federal regulatory structure. After those 4 years in the Obama administration, we came back up to Connecticut, and I had the chance to serve for 2 years as the chief legal counsel to the governor. And in that role, in addition to all the things you'd expect of a lawyer, I got to work on a lot of policy issues that were close to my heart, including being part of the team that pushed and passed the common sense gun reforms that were enacted after the tragedy of Sandy Hook, that fought for environmental progress, partnership with Connecticut Green Bank, a lot of open space preservation initiatives that set a goal to be the first state in the country to end chronic veteran homelessness, a goal that we achieved, and helped lay the groundwork for the criminal justice reforms that became known as the Second Chance Society. And 3 years ago, I decided to leave that job because I saw the city that Sarah and I had come to call home and that we loved, a great city with an unbelievable history and unbelievable assets and great people. We saw it on the wrong track. And so I decided to run for mayor in a race that nobody thought I could win, and we won it. And over the last couple of years, I had to tackle an unprecedented fiscal crisis. A city that would have had no trouble meeting the test for bankruptcy. And we tackled that crisis honestly and with transparency. And refused to just kick the can, as previous administrations had done. We moved the ball a long way down the field by building partnerships that people didn't think possible, whether it was with our labor unions around the table, whether it was by getting our biggest corporations to put skin in the game and be part of the city's future, or whether it was by building partnerships across the aisle in the legislature and laying out a path that allowed us to get our capital city on the road to stability. And at the same time when we did that, we battled that crisis, but we refused to be defined by crisis. And if you spend any time up there, you can see just a different level of energy and activity. And what I see right now in the state of Connecticut is a state that's at the same kind of crossroads that Hartford was 3 years ago. We face a real fiscal crisis, and we've got to deal with it honestly and transparently. But we've also got to lay out that path to growth. And I hope to have a chance to talk about that in the question and answer, because I have strong feelings about what we need to do. But let me just also say this. We all know there's an enormous amount at stake for each of our communities in this race, and for the state of Connecticut as a whole. But this race is also about the future of our country. As mayor, I've been proud to stand up to Donald Trump as they bullied cities on immigration. I was proud to push an ordinance that will protect a woman's right to exercise her right to choose, even as the Trump administration defunds Planned Parenthood. I was proud to develop a climate action plan, because we at the local level have to take leadership as they erase climate change from the federal government website. And we need to make sure that this state continues to be a leader in pushing back against the assaults on our democracy and our values out of Washington, even as we do the hard, necessary things to get our state on track. I hope to earn your support along the way. Look forward to the conversation. Let me just say this. I'm confident we can win this, not just because of what happened in Stratford on Tuesday. I'll tell you, I was in Bethel last weekend for a Moms Demand Action meeting, a meeting that usually draws 10 to 12 people, and there were 250 people there. Our party is energized because we're in the right, and we're going to win in November and keep the state blue. So thank you very much. Questions? Yes, sir.
Yes, I think the only reason we're even having at least this, for at least a gubernatorial, because the governor's going to chose not to rerun for election. He's historically extremely unpopular. And as someone who was a part of his administration, I would like to know, in a general election, how could you distance yourself from Governor Malloy, resist those attacks from the right?
Sure. Well, look, first of all, they're going to try to tie every single Democrat to Dan Malloy. And here's what we're going to do. Number one, we're going to blow up the myth that Republicans are fiscally responsible. Because they just, at the federal level, they just passed one of the most irresponsible tax cuts in American history, giving all of the relief to the wealthiest Americans, and it's the second time they've done it in 2 decades. And at the local level here, Republican leaders didn't fund pensions for year after year after year, even in times when we had surpluses. So we're not going to let them claim that. And we're going to point out the fact that Republicans in this state are bringing Washington-style politics and Mitch McConnell politics to Connecticut. You know, we have Republicans who voted bipartisan for that gun reform bill that was passed in 2013, and now they're saying that if elected, they'd take it back. We've got, Republicans out there saying that we want to make Connecticut a right-to-work state. I think there is such a vast gap between where the Republican Party is and where the values of this state are, and I'm confident that we can make that difference very, very clear. Questions? So you can, if you raise your hand, I'll call on you. But let me say this: I think the single most important thing that we're going to have to do over the next 4 years is put the state on a path to growth. And I think there are 3 key things to do that. Number 1 is transportation. I'm glad that I think there's a consensus development among the Democrats that we need tolls. Look, we're crazy to be one of the only states in the eastern seaboard that doesn't have tolls, and we've got a 19th century infrastructure. If you put New Haven within an hour and 10 minutes of New York, it's a game changer for every community represented here. And if you also use that toll revenue to invest in commuter lines, whether it's the Waterbury line, up Route 8, or Danbury line, or Shoreline East, that opens up economic growth possibilities for this state that we haven't seen in a long, long time. Number 2, I do believe we need strong cities. And that's not at the expense of suburbs and small towns, but a stronger New Haven, a stronger Waterbury make for a stronger valley. You've got to have strong, vibrant urban centers if you're going to compete for economic growth in America today. You can look around the country and see it. Every state that's growing faster than us is seeing that growth driven in cities, but the growth is being shared by the suburbs around them. And lastly, we have a tremendous amount of growth happening in this state, especially in advanced manufacturing. But we've forgotten to use our vocational technical schools, our community college schools, and our state colleges and universities to link up our educational programs to the jobs that are there. If we do those 3 things, we're going to see this state grow. It's not going to happen overnight. But we can restore confidence and optimism in the future of this state. And I hope to have a chance to do it with you. Thank you very much.